In 4000 BC, the Mesopotamians were the first astronomers. They built pyramids-like buildings with 7 terraces. They discovered groups of stars which changed during the seasons, and they also divided a circle into 360 degrees to make the months. In 4000 BC, the Egyptians used astronomy to align their temples and monuments with the stars. They also developed a calendar to predict the Nile River flood. Stonehenge was built in 3000 BC and was rebuilt in 2500 BC. No one really knows what its purpose is, although during the specific time during the years the sun would rise and set at certain places in the monument. In 1200 BC, the Chinese recorded meteor showers and comets, and they kept records of them, and today it has helped people understand how meteor showers work. In 625 BC, the first Greek philosopher was Thales. He explained the world without the use of gods, and he used a little dipper as a navigational aid. In 582 BC, Pythagoras developed the model for the solar system. He assumed the planets moved in circular movements around the sun. He was born on the island of Samos, and he assumed that the earth was round instead of flat. In 1500 BC, the Babylonians developed a primarily mathematical theory to show Venus tablets of Amazaduga. They recorded eclipses and new moon records. In 384, Aristotle was a student of Plato. He accepted his model of Exodus, but modified it to his liking. He discovered that every planet was spherical. In 300 BC, Aristarchus wrote a book on geometry. He found it was possible to find the distance and size of the sun and the moon from the earth. In 276, the Eratosthenes used geometry to calculate the size of the earth. They did this by using the altitude and distance of cities and recorded with the sun. In 134 BC, Hipparchus was considered the greatest astronomer of antiquity. Not much of his work is left, although he did discover a new star and the difference between the brightness of stars, and he did create trigonometry.
In 300 AD, the Mayans thought astronomy was important. They based their buildings off the stars. They used astronomy to study the sun. In 150 AD, Ptolemy assumed the Earth was stationary in the center of the universe. He assumed planets were not spherical, and he said everything has a perfect path. 700 AD, the Arabs used astronomy as a timekeeper. They also have tons of constellations named after them. In 1473, Copernicus proposed the first model of the solar system. He also said Earth rotates on an axis. In 1547, Brahe opposed Copernicus' model. He also wrote a book describing the stars. He also built astronomical instruments. In 1564, Galileo constructed a hydrostatic balance for small objects. He had theories about motion. He also made a telescope to study the stars. In 1571, Kepler believed the planets were in planetary motion. He improved the refracting telescope to the diatrophic telescope. He explained how a telescope worked. In 1643, Newton studied previous astronomers. He founded the laws of motion. He also discovered gravity. In 1656, Edmund Halley used a telescope to study stars in the southern hemisphere. He determined that movement of monsoons had to do with solar heating.
In 1879, Einstein created the theory of relativity. This theory describes changes in measurement of physical phenomena when viewed by observers who are in motion. In 1885, Niels Bohr created the Bohr model. It was to help understand the structure of an atom. It described each electron as having a certain amount of energy and being set at a certain distance from the nucleus.
In 1990, Wolfgang Pauli worked on the quantum theory. He discovered the Pauli exclusion principle. In 1901, Werner Heisenberg created the uncertainty principle. There's no way to know where something is or how fast it is going. Only works for tiny particles. In 1989, Edwin Hubble proved that the nebula were other galaxies beyond the Milky Way. He said that the universe was expanding. In 1894, Georges Lemaitre was the real founder of the expansion of the universe. Said the universe started at an initial point and expands, which he called the cosmic egg, later known as the Big Bang Theory. In 1904, Robert Oppenheimer worked on the Manhattan Project. He also helped create the continuous spectrum. In 1955, Fred Hoyle found the stellar nucleosynthesis, and he also coined the term Big Bang Theory. In 1933, Penzias and Wilson were part of a satellite team called ECHO. They also helped launch the Tesla satellite. They created the cosmic microwave. On July 24, 1969, Armstrong and Aldrin were the first men on the moon. They also were able to bring back 20 vials of moon dust.